the King Charles pub, one of the oldest in Worcester, and apparently it's haunted. Morning! It's Monday morning and we're just in the car ready to drop David somewhere, and I'm just trying to think of what content I'm going to do this week. I'm thinking of going to Broomfield's farm shop. We haven't been there for 20 years, have we? We used to go and do pumpkin carving, didn't we? So
I'm yet to do a pumpkin.
I know, I shall have a look and see if they've got any pumpkins, I think, today. And I'll go to Greyfriars in Worcester at some point, either today or tomorrow, which is a National Trust property, because this weekend has been a complete washout and I've just not wanted to go and do anything yesterday. I had loads of washing and it was wet. So, yeah, we'll come up with something for Friday. I'm not sure what, but yeah, speak to you soon. I'm just stopping on my route to Broomfield Farm Shop, now that I've just dropped David off, at Holt Fleet pub, which is the Holt Fleet country pub with dining and riverside garden. Now the river is up, so I'm just going to go and take a bit of footage of the river because it's very, very wet. So let's go and have a look. So I've arrived at Broomfield's farm shop with a noisy road to the left and some lovely orchards behind. And here we are. And they say on the sign coming in that the pumpkins are ready.
I love it, but I'm actually getting a proper one. Give him a little tiny one. Yeah. They get into perfect. Less scoop out of it. Yeah.
What an array of pumpkins. I can't get over how they've got such a nice little display of the little ones as well. I'm going to get some small ones today and one big one.
Thank you.
This veg looks absolutely delightful, so I'm going to make a leek and potato soup and get 3 big leeks. And we don't normally see them this size in the supermarket, so they look good. These are good looking. Strong up, aren't they? They'd have done these up beautiful, the display. It's all very nice in here. I haven't been in for a while. It's absolutely changed beyond all measure. There's a wine section. And the cafe's changed as well by the looks of things. Am I behind the times? I've never seen crisps in a tin.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to get it for you.
Savour, Wagyu beef, honey and mustard flavour, luxurious hand-cut British potato crisps. Somerset cheddar and shallot. Desert salt and black pepper and desert salt flavour. Wow. Apologies for showing you lots of pictures of food, but I'm obsessed. Can't get over all these nice things. I better run out quick before the calories add on.
Yeah. That was weird. The phone line chirped a few times.
Hello. I'm all right, thanks.
I like the other one there, but no.
Got deli sausages and all these lovely chestnut tins that you always get recipes for Christmas for. Chestnut spread. Wasn't it Nigella who was always talking about chestnut spread at Christmas? And Christmas has certainly arrived because we've got Merry Christmas before Halloween. When I came years ago, this used to be the cafe, and it's changed into a little Christmassy shop by the looks of things. So I'm just going to turn on the main camera. I'm not sure which room this is, but it's presumably a room to hire out. Want to get ahead? Get out. I quite like this tan one. I'm looking rather pale on this video, but hey, a bit extra blusher and I'll be alright. It's a lovely little section. So yeah, years ago this used to be the cafe. It's expanded now into this massive area by the looks of things. And the produce in here is fantastic. Really different, you know, nothing like your supermarket stuff. I really like to see different produce and different gifts. Really pretty. So I've just come out the farm shop and decided that I couldn't afford most things. I spent £10. I got 2 little pumpkins, 3 big leeks and a cauliflower. And I loved everything in that shop, but you've got to be rich to go in there, I'm afraid. Even little pots of jam and honey and things flown in from Italy were absolutely delightful. I wanted to pick up everything, but you can't, can you? Panettones from Venezia with gocce di cioccolata, which is chocolate chips, and the meat counter. I mean, you've got to be super wealthy to afford a sausage, to be honest. I was a bit gobsmacked. I mean, I know supermarket food's gone up, but farm shop food, I suppose the quality's there, isn't it? That's why rich people can be healthy. I mean, I came away thinking I could make leek soup and that's about it. But I haven't even bought my son a big pumpkin because they were £5.50 and £7. And I thought, I'm sure they're £3.50 in the supermarkets for a similar size. So I'm not prepared to pay £5.50 or £7 for a pumpkin. Even though I can make soup out of it, I suppose you'd think £5 for a soup isn't bad, but they are £3.50 elsewhere, so I'm not going to buy a big one today here. So I've spent the petrol. But I'm going to go via another shop. It's another farm shop. It's a bit more of a rough and ready farm shop, but it'll be cheaper. I'm absolutely convinced that I'm going to go there now. It's on the way home. So I've just popped into Aldi on the way home and I've bought, it's called an extra large pumpkin, £2.49. That would have cost me £5.50 for a similar size in the farm shop. So they did have bigger ones called giant ones at Aldi, but I'm happy with that. That's more than enough. I shall have pumpkin seeds everywhere, no doubt. But anyway, yeah, I'm really thrilled with that. So that's good, good. So now that I'm back home, tired and needing a cup of tea, this is my loot I'm going to show you. So Aldi, £2.49. Leeks, I can't remember, but they were from the first Broomfields farm shop along with these 2 little pumpkin squashes. And then I got oh yeah, that collie was from that farm shop as well. And I got pineapple for £1 from the other cheaper farm shop with the bananas and the Savoy cabbage and the broccoli. And all that came to £5. So in terms of cost, I think that was quite a good value at the second farm shop. But here we are, ready to do a pumpkin carving when David gets back. Heidi, hi. Since I've got in, I was looking a bit pale and had a headache coming, so I had a cup of tea, banana and a prawn cocktail that I had in the fridge from Waitrose. So that's gone down nicely, and I'm just about to show you a tablescape that I did for a dinner party on Saturday night. I had a couple of people over. I did a pâté to start with sourdough toast and a 1-pot beef dish and a crumble with the blackberries, plums and rhubarb that I had in the freezer that I'd already foraged and bought and grew in the garden. So that was lovely, and I ate too much on Saturday, but doesn't it make you want more the next day? It's quite incredible. Anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd show you what I was doing when I was dressing my table. I always like to watch these things, and I'll catch you in a bit. The 3 central green posy jars are from Amazon, so if you're interested I shall put the link below. And all I did was get some leaves out the garden. More prep for another dinner, for vegetables, teas, coffees, espressos. I love this sugar bowl. I just absolutely think it's so sweet. Petit fours after with coffees and teas. Ready for the custard and the crumble. Now these are my plums for tomorrow, they're just defrosting. Bit of rhubarb from the garden, and these are some of the blackberries that I foraged. So I'm going to mix it up and put it in a Delia Smith crumble with just flour, soft brown sugar and butter for the topping. And over here, I'm going to do a slow cook pot meal. I've got all my prep ready for tomorrow. And yeah, I'll be cooking off the meat in here. So, ready to go. And I shall be doing pate to start with. And yeah, the main one pot beef dish. And then I'll be doing the crumble. And yeah, I've got some chocolate Florentines as well for food. I meant to say the evening went really well on Saturday. Food went timed to perfection. But my beautiful, nice white tablecloth that I hadn't used before had red wine and blackberries on it. So I quickly did what I thought Nancy Birtwistle in the UK often says. She makes up her own, was it clean bleach type things? But anyway, I used Oxyactive fabric stain remover. And then I poured boiling water on the stains. And physically you could see the stains going, because they always say don't put boiling water on, don't they? Cold water and salt and all this jazz. White wine on top of red. I didn't do that. I just put that splurt of this on and hot water and straight into the washing machine, and the stains came out. So I thought I'd share that tip. I'm just approaching Fountains Beauty here, part of Heart of Worcestershire College, and I'm about to have an Indian head massage, which I've had many times in the past. And today they've actually given an offer of, after you've got all the oil in your hair, you can have your hair washed and blow dried. Both put together for the princely sum of £10, which is absolutely fantastic. So hopefully it's going to be relaxing. So here we go. This is inside one of the salons where they do the hairdressing. I was escorted to another room because they're very, very full with all the students at the beginning of term. Often the case by half term, some students drop out. So yeah, I was lucky to be able to photograph this because there weren't many people around until I got into another room. And yeah, so very, very nice indeed. And then a little trip down the high street to look for Greyfriars after the little session, with a few little spooky windows along the way. So I've just come out of the Fountains Hair and Beauty salon, having had an Indian head massage followed by a hair wash and blow dry, which was done by a girl who's never worked on the public before for blow drying hair. 2 different girls did the treatments, and it was so relaxing. £10 it cost me because it's a training college. They're not always enthusiastic sometimes, but today they were really, really good, the girls, and I give them full praise for that. And I'm standing here just at the side of the Hair and Beauty College, and I've got the Hive Library behind me. I didn't like it when it was built. I certainly don't like the architecture personally, but the colour of the gold hasn't disappeared, so it does look like a beehive. And yeah, it's well used, I'm sure, by all the universities, colleges, schools nearby. So we're off now to see the National Trust Greyfriars building, so I shall report back as to what I see. I've been before, and as it's nice and sunny today, I think it's quite good to see the garden, even though it is October. So see you in a minute. Meanwhile, I stumble across this good window display. Talking of window displays, last video. So yeah, I think the Witch's Cauldron is great. Very spooky. So what have we here? Sides £5.95, tapas, any 5 for £30, 2 cocktails for 14. These are Worcestershire prices. AD 1577. From this house, King Charles II escaped his enemies after the Battle of Worcester, September the 3rd, 1651. The King Charles pub, one of the oldest in Worcester, and apparently it's haunted. I probably mentioned it on a previous video actually, but yeah, I want to fancy that. It's already beamed, isn't it? Very old. And this is quite a quiet high street for, well, it's not high street, it's called New Street, it's not the main thoroughfare, for 12:30 at lunchtime. So I'm just going to head up and see if we can see the Greyfriars building. I like the way they've got the bunting along the shops at the top. Very nice. So we're heading down Friar Street, and this is where the National Trust property is. And it's my favourite road in Worcester. Sounds good. Hot, cold drinks, cakes, bakes, takeaway available, indoor garden seating, marvellous. So you can get married here? There's a fine selection of Christmas ghost stories on the 20th of December, that should be good. Dr. Nicholas Grimoire presents for your festive entertainment. That looks good. That's an evening. And then Ghost Stories by M.R. James. So this is a Grade 2 listed building set in historic Worcestershire, and it was owned by 2 siblings at one point, and then in 1966, the year I was born, it was handed over to the National Trust It's a timber frame building, as you can see, and I'll give you some more information on the voiceover because I do hate talking in public because people think I'm crackers. So let's just go in and see what we can. Now, I've just come to Greyfriars and booked in, and you used to be able to walk around on your own, but now it's apparently a talk by a gentleman at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And as it's 7 minutes to 1, I'm going on the 1 o'clock, and I'm hoping he'll let me video, but I don't know. We will see. So, yeah, as I say, timber frame building, and it was owned by siblings, I think I said. Was it Elsie Moore and her sister Matley Moore? I think I'll check on that one. I'll put it on the screen. But yeah, they obviously kept it going until they could no longer. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit. The timber beams are very closely put together to show the wealth of the merchant when building the property, but also it served a purpose. If he was attacked and people tried to steal anything, they would find it hard to bash through the wattle and daub in between the timbers. This stairway was an additional staircase put in to help ladies with their big crinoline dresses at a time when the original building had two very, very tiny small staircases which are still there on either side of the building. But yeah, it had to be reconstructed when the fashions of the day changed. So I had a guided tour of the house, and afterwards we came out into the garden, and here on the right you can see what was the friary, hence why people ended up calling the building Greyfriars. But that friary became the city jail at some point, so yeah, there was a change in occupation of that building, and yeah, you can see that the garden is very well maintained, and there's a cafe area as well and a bookstore, so it's very nice. I'm still out in the Greyfriars garden, and there's this little building here with some interesting things, so just turning round. Some interesting murals on the walls, quite hard to see in the light, but obviously a little seating area.
We've got the extension which the streets are did, which is the late 16th century. On the left hand side,
So I've just come out of Greyfriars and we had a brilliant tour guide. I probably wasn't really in the mood for a tour because of having that Indian head massage and a blow dry. I could have done with going home and having a sleep. I don't know about anything else. But anyway, I concentrated and he was fascinating. It was an hour tour and I've never had that in the past. So they've obviously changed what they're doing. And he said there were 5 owners by the sound of things. The first owner of that timber building was called Thomas Green, a wealthy merchant who built the property in 1490. And then it went into the hands of, eventually, I think his sons died or whatever, and Thomas Twizzle, sounds very Dickensian, the actual name, he had it. And then there were the Streets who had it. And then the George family, and the George family weren't very wealthy at this point. So they opened up the front of the building into various shops to trade. And they also had sort of terraced housing, very small housing in the garden area on the left as you look out to the garden. There were terraced houses there. Eventually they were got rid of, and the Moores took it over. Elsie and Matley Moore, brother and sister, siblings. And they had a horrible mother, he said, who was horrible to Elsie, and she said that she'd never get married, nobody would want her. And she had a very, very artistic flair. She was a really good artist, had her own little studio within that timber property. And they said if they could stay there rent-free, they would renovate the whole property. And by renovation, I mean renovation, because the brother, Matley, was a dentist, old school dentist, but he had an interest in the archaeology society. So they did it all up. Now that place was dilapidated and literally down to the bare timber frames falling into the ground, and they wanted to preserve it, so they did that. I think Matley died in 1982, and then she Elsie eventually went into a home because she couldn't quite cope. So all the belongings were left to the National Trust. So that's what I remember he was saying. Various items throughout the house, all these lovely colourful tapestries on the wall. She sort of made sure they were preserved and kept clean. And she put sort of material from Liberties. So they had money from Wilmslow in Cheshire where they sold property, the Moores. So they were able to restore it back to the current state of play. So that's what I can remember. I hope I've got that correctly. And the frontages of the front of the building obviously was put back to a proper timber house, merchant's house, by the Moores. So there was no shop fronts after the Georges. So there we go. So very, very interesting. So many things, like a rose hidden in the woodwork to show allegiance to the monarch, and King Charles II went through as well. That's why the pub down the road is called the King Charles II, because he took on Cromwell and didn't win, and then had to run for his life from the pub. And yeah, so lots went on in Worcester back in the day. And yeah, so it's nice to see that Friar Street is always maintained. And I'm so glad the Moores kept that timber building on, because apparently the council in those days would have just taken over the buildings and got rid of them. So the Moores made sure it went into the hands of the National Trust to stop that happening, which is great. So onward and upwards, off for a cup of tea back home. Before I go, if you get to the end of the video, type in crumble. Then I'll know you've actually watched it all the way through, because the algorithm likes to push videos if they've been watched all the way through. So that'll signify to me if you've actually got to this bit. Anyway, have a great week. Bye for now. See you soon.
We've been driving around, singing songs way too loud because we wanna. Picking up all our friends, fill up the car till it bends because we wanna. Yeah, we just wanna have fun. The trunk's full of wine. We're gonna stay up, have the time of our lives. The night is in.